Welcome to the exciting rebirth of Superstar, featuring choose your membership rate as low as just $3 a month. At Superstar, you get expanded, exclusive video scopes each and every week, unlimited access to special horoscopes, class passes for Synchronicity University, consultations with me, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Hello, fabulous friends, fans, and superstars. Welcome to your horoscope for the week of July 18, 2021. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological week, without a doubt. Very big things are happening in the sky, active energies happening, quick moving yet intense energies playing out now, but the promise is there for truth and transformation. Now, sometimes truth is deeply subjective. Sometimes it's evident, sometimes it's not. But we are going to get all kinds of doses of truth with a week like this. Now, of course, a lot of the glitz, the glamour, the glory this week is going to go to the full moon that takes place towards the end of the week, right around Friday, depending on where you are on the planet, is when that full moon is going to perfect. And it is the first of two full moons we are going to have in the sign of Aquarius. This full moon happens at the very beginning at 1 degree of its respective sign. It is going to be 28 and a half days later that we will have a second full moon in the sign of Aquarius towards the end of the sign at what astrologers like to call anaretic degrees. Now, I will be here to talk about it every step of the way, but when we look at it in the context of this week and these full moons in the context of this week, full moons represent closure and completion, but they also bring with them emotional truth. But along with this sense of closure is going to be a beginning, a sense of a new understanding that can change our direction in positive ways, put us on new pathways at that, and bring with it new ideas. In fact, I would say new ideas in at least one area of life is key with this energy now. Aquarius is, after all, the energy of ideas, of brilliance, of genius, but also of mad genius as well, if we're going to be very straightforward about it. Every sign has a spectrum of energy, and sometimes that spectrum is more enlightened than otherwise. Sometimes the energy is not necessarily one that is actively conscious and comes out in ways that are more rooted in wounding. And so with Aquarius, this is the energy of the rebel, but where it is that the rebel has a cause, has focus, well, then it becomes about being true to your heart and living in accordance with that truth, aligning deeply with a personal truth and knowing that you are worthy of honoring it. That is the higher end of this energy. The lower end is rebellion for its own sake, rebellion as performance. So this is a spectrum that we within ourselves are going to be invited to be mindful of. But whatever realizations we do have along this spectrum, how much is it that we are honoring our most authentic self or not? Well, the realizations we have now can put us on new pathways. But what that's going to mean in the bigger picture, especially the bigger picture of our lives, well, we may have to wait until late next month to fully understand that, or at least to understand that more deeply than we do at the onset of this lunar journey, this Aquarian journey that all of us are going to be on in at least one area of life. Let me invite you to take into consideration that Aquarius is a fixed sign, and I have found that the fixed signs are especially interested in authenticity, being true to oneself, living true to oneself, and holding on to something essential within oneself is something that each of the fixed signs cares deeply about. Now, the fixed signs are Taurus, Leo, Aquarius, and Scorpio. These are the fixed signs. And each of these is in the middle of a season. It holds the season. And the same way in which we may hold some truth about ourselves and live it is what these signs are especially interested in. And we are going to see this played out now with this full moon. Where is it in at least one area of life, we can bring forward greater authenticity, a greater conviction to trust ourselves and to be ourselves. Where is it that we're ready to be honest about where it is we've been caught up in performance rather than rooted in heart, rooted in a deeper truth that brings about peace? Because ultimately living according to one's truth is the pathway to peace, or at least one very powerful pathway to peace. With the Aquarian energy, it comes with acceptance, the peace that acceptance brings, that you can be your unique self. But also, because Aquarius has a strong dichotomy to it, it's one of the signs of the strong dichotomy. The truth of you and you holding that truth is enough, but at the same time, there's also a sense of allowing other people to live their truth, to be their most authentic self, even if it's different than you and what you feel your most authentic expression is. And there's something very liberating and, yes, peace-inducing about that. Allowing others to be themselves allows you to be yourself, and vice versa. That is part of the gift of this time. So all of us are going to start this journey in one way or another, but also come to a personal realization, a personal truth. What is your truth? And what is your most authentic and independent expression? How is it now that you're ready to own that and find peace in being that? That is going to be part of the invitation of this time. Now, we do have some beautiful mercurial energies playing out this week as well that I absolutely love. It is going to be on Tuesday that Mercury will align in harmony with Uranus, and at the end of the week, align in supreme harmony with Neptune. Mercury right now is moving through the sign of Cancer, and this is an energy of home, of foundations, and it has to do with a passion for understanding where you come from and where your roots lie. When Mercury is speaking with Uranus, well, this brings with it new understandings. And it helps us to evolve our understanding of what our roots actually are, to find our roots with each other, to expand the definition of our roots in the best possible sense. At the end of the week, with Mercury speaking in supreme harmony with Neptune, well, that energy is inspired. It is hopeful. It is exciting. It is an energy of being swept up in a moment and seeing, yes, with rose-colored glasses, but seeing things much more idealistically than perhaps they are. But sometimes we need that. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with seeing things overly idealistically. I think it can be quite charming. I was speaking to someone recently about how children can be very spiritual, and why is it that we think of childlike wonder as sometimes a beautiful thing in adults and sometimes not so nice a thing in adults, when it gives us so much life, right? It inspires us. It reminds us that life is a wonder-filled experience. Well, one thing I've observed in children is that they look at the sky as if it is magic. And that is very inspiring. And I remember this feeling myself as a child, maybe you do as well, looking up at the stars, observing how the sky moves, and especially the moon. Of course, the moon. The moon is such a powerful, evocative, emotional symbol that we feel powerfully within. It's been well documented that the moon connects us to our emotions in powerful ways. Well, children demonstrate this, and they demonstrate the beauty of this that much more. And so where is it now that you in your life may be ready for a little bit of childlike wonder, or at least ready to appreciate just how magical life can be if you're willing to see the magic, if you're willing to see the miracle? Well, I think that is part of what Mercury in Cancer trine Neptune towards the end of the week under the light of a full moon. I think that's part of what the lessons may be for us, or at least part of what may be inspired for us now. Where is it that you may be ready to consider and contemplate your connection to the sky with that sense of awe that it actually deserves? Well, that may come forward for you now. But remember, because Mercury is in the sign of Cancer, in some way, what we come to realize is connected to our past. Now, that past may be ourselves, That past may be our ancestors as well. I recently came across a meme, and I'm going to try and share it on the screen here if I remember to. And it was very powerful to consider that we, in many ways, will continue cycles of pain and of trauma that go back many, many, many generations. And these cycles will continue until one person says, okay, this isn't working anymore. Let's not unconsciously repeat these patterns that I saw my parents go through, who saw their parents, who saw their parents and their parents and their parents and their parents. But rather, let us move forward from here with that one person that decides to do things differently. I do think this Mercury in Cancer energy, first speaking in harmony with Uranus and then in supreme harmony with Neptune, might inspire some of us to break some of those cycles. Now, there are ways to break those cycles of pain and of trauma, but keep what's good, to keep the faith, to keep the beauty, to keep the inspiration, to keep the love, and to keep the love and magnify it that much more. Because the truth is, nothing is all one thing. Just like no person is all one thing. There's a saying, there's a bit of bad in the best of us and a bit of good in the worst of us. And what determines who's the worst and who's good? Well, that in and of itself can be a judgment, but we can say that those who perpetuate cycles of pain, yeah, maybe they're not necessarily aligning with energy that we might deem good. And yet, here's an opportunity. Thanks to Mercury and the way in which Mercury is connecting to these power players, that is going to invite us to go deeper, but also to be freed in the best possible sense, to bring forgiveness, to bring healing, but also to connect with faith. Faith in yourself and faith that the future can be better. And how is the future better? When it is more aligned with love. And that is a powerful thing. Now, outside of these energies, there are a couple of other things that are worth taking into consideration this week. One is Venus. I don't want to forget to mention, Venus is changing signs, moving into the sign of Virgo. This energy takes place right around Wednesday or Thursday, depending on where you are on the planet. And it is going to be right around Thursday that Venus will stand across the sky from Jupiter. I think this is very powerful. This alignment happens about once a year, and when it takes place, it is a moment of honesty, but also a moment of realization as to what more there is to do to get to a more ideal future. Where is it that we are ready to evaluate ourselves? And thanks to Venus and Virgo, we'll be evaluating ourselves quite deeply here. But where is it that we're ready to look at ourselves with depth, with analysis, but also to consider where we can do better, where we could be more loving, what approach we want to take, and how we're going to get there. This energy can be very beautiful, very uplifting, but it can also be a moment of truth. But that moment of truth will be rooted in faith. It'll be rooted in inspiration. It'll be rooted in an understanding that things can be better if we're willing to look at the depth of our feeling, of our emotion, of our heart, of our self-love, and of course our romantic love as well, where we're willing to look and honestly evaluate what's worked in the past and what isn't. It is then that we can formulate an understanding, find the balance we need, so that we start to move towards something that feels more closely aligned with our ideals. Idealism is a beautiful thing. Idealism is to be cherished, and to know that you can have a more ideal future rooted in an unshakable sense of self-love, an unshakable commitment to the principle of love, but also an understanding that you are worthy of having loving interactions with other people. Well, all of this evaluation may come up now, as well as an understanding of how to get to that more ideal understanding. Now, by far, one of the more important energies that is going to play out this week, I have to say there's a type of conversation that astrologers call a quincunx. And I actually had this in-depth conversation with my friend, Yuridia Robles, about this. We meet every Tuesday to talk about her upcoming book with Synchronicity Publications. I'll talk about that a little bit later, and I'm sure it pops up somewhere on the screen at some point. But it is Yuridia and I that end up talking about astrology, of course, and she in particular has these incredibly insightful perspectives. She's such a brilliant astrologer. I will say one of the best that I know. And she was talking to me about the Quincunx, and she was describing it as an energy of love, an energy that asks for love. And so why is this? Well, a Quincunx represents two planets speaking to each other, and the energies of needing to integrate these particular energies. You bringing an energy of integration of these different parts of you can come up very quickly, can come up by surprise, but also as we bring love and we find adjustment, the energy is able to dissipate just as quickly as well. Well, look, I have to say we've got a lot of Quincunx energy with a week like this, and some of it is tiring. Some of it is draining. I'm sorry to say, but that does happen. There may be people out there who feel very emotional. It may feel like a roller coaster. There may be tears as well, I have to say. But where it is that we are committed to allowing those tears to be a force of cleansing, that intention can be realized as well. Okay, so what do we have playing out here with this Quincunx energy? In the first part of the week, before Venus changes signs, she's going to be in the sign of Leo, and she's first going to align with Neptune and then Pluto. Then Mars steps in, and Mars in the sign of Leo will align with Neptune and with Pluto. We've also got late in the week, once the sun moves into the sign of Leo, kicking off Leo season. Happy birthday to all the Leos out there. Well, it is going to be the sun that aligns with Jupiter in this Quincunx energy. And at the beginning of the week, if all of that wasn't enough, we've also got Mercury aligning with Saturn, Quincunx energy as well. So as you can see, as you can hear, it is a roller coaster of here at this time, but it is energy that we're able to understand and incorporate more deeply. I do think, considering the emphasis on Leo energy, remember Leo is energy of heart. It is energy of love itself, because we understand heart and love as intimately tied. But it's love for self, love that tells you you are worthy of shining, you are worthy of being seen, you are worthy of trusting your heart and knowing that it'll lead you somewhere good. Well, it is going to be at this time where many of us may find ourselves having to root ourselves in the conviction that we can trust ourselves, we can trust our heart, and even if the outcome isn't easy or breezy, it doesn't mean that it's bad. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. And so with Neptune, that brings with it these emotional waves. With Pluto, intensity. And also that sense of energy drained. But it is moments like this that affirm love, even when it's hard, that affirm our commitment to love. Now, again, this can be love for self, this can be romantic love, this can be love as a principle, love as a philosophy, love as spirituality. Your journey is going to be uniquely your own on how you understand the power of your heart. But all that's transpiring here with this Quincunx energy means that in surprising moments, you are being invited to tap into the power of love, the power of your heart, even when it's hard, even when it feels draining, even when it feels exhausting. What does love mean to you? Your answers are going to be uniquely your own. But what I will say is, remember, simultaneously, we do have these other energies playing out that I already mentioned. We have the energy of Mercury in the energy of Cancer, speaking in harmony with Uranus early in the week. Love frees us. Love liberates us. And especially where it is that we're able to root ourselves in a spirit of connection to each other, on a level of foundation, on a level of our roots, knowing that we are connected to everyone And yes, everything as well, that everyone and everything, more lofty energy, that's the full moon in Aquarius. But knowing that we are connected on a level of family to each other, literal family, like our physical ancestors and our physical connections, but also we truly are a human and worldwide family, right? A life-oriented family, if you will. Many of us may look at animals and see family there as well, which is a beautiful thing. But where it is that we're willing to see that, we are freed from some of this more intense energy, or at least losing ourselves in it for a moment. Because remember, it's just a moment. It comes and it goes. And it is, of course, the energy of Mercury and Neptune that will restore faith. Now, I do want to also share that one show that I really like, between you and me, I really like this show. It's called Never Have I Ever. It's on Netflix. It's so cute. It's like a teenage high school kind of show. It's really smart. It's produced by Mindy Kaling. And so I love it. I love watching this show. It's so much fun. The lead actress is Canadian. I love that as well. And so anyways, there was a scene, I just yesterday was binge watching this show. And a scene that I saw that just broke me down into tears, I have to tell you. And it's the scene where the lead actress, the lead character, Devi, is speaking to her therapist. And she says to her therapist, "Am I crazy?" And her therapist says, "No, you're not crazy. You feel things deeply." And what that means is that sometimes you'll feel the hurt deeply as well. But what that also means is that your life is going to be so much richer, so much filled with experiences that reach you to your core. Now, I am paraphrasing here big time. I don't have the quote in front of me, but I did want to share this because it was so deeply moving to me, but also because it reminded me of this week. It reminded me of these Quincunx energies and how some of us may not necessarily feel as grounded as we may like, as steady as we may like, but sometimes we need that because it reminds us that we can live that much more fully. You know, I think about how sometimes we may not want to feel. Our feelings can be so strong, they can be so overpowering. And I think about how some of us figure out a way to manage our feelings that don't really work long term. Thinking about some ideas and theories around addiction, for example, alcoholism, drug addiction. These are ways of managing very strong feelings. There is wisdom to these activities. And I think that when we just look at a particular behavior and think it's just about a behavior, we actually are less empowered. But when it is that we're willing to look at a behavior, particularly within ourselves, and be willing to contemplate that more deeply, what could be the wisdom here in something, even if it's hard, even if it looks self-destructive, then that may be the beginning of healing. Being willing to see the wisdom can be the beginning of healing. And our feelings this week may be very powerful. We may be wanting to manage them in some way, but what I would say is if we are willing to see the wisdom of our feelings and let that take us in a direction that may be unexpected in some way, that we hadn't anticipated, finding the answer to the question, what wisdom could be playing out here? Well, that could end up being one of the best ways to use the energy of this time, because that ends up being powerfully transformative and allows us to ultimately bring forward greater authenticity. And that ultimately brings us to the full moon late in the week. Because remember, I started off by saying that full moon is about being your most authentic self. And our most authentic self comes forward when we're willing to look at the root of our pain rather than think it is about the strategies that we have to manage that pain. And sometimes the root of that pain can be so overwhelming that we're not ready to look at it. And so those strategies have their wisdom, and that's okay. But when it is that we are willing to ask, simply the question of asking what wisdom could be playing out with this behavior that is possibly a strategy, healing has already occurred. It's already begun. You're already on the pathway. You are well on that pathway, I would say. Simply to have the realization and the consciousness to ask the question means you're way ahead of the game. You're way ahead of the curve. And given that this is a full moon of illumination, yes, and of transformation and of change and of closure, but one that holds the seeds of beginning, the willingness to see the wisdom behind any action in ourselves and others is a powerful new chapter in our lives. One that is guided by trusting our emotions, trusting our feelings, and knowing that they can be a powerful spiritual pathway towards greater love and greater wisdom as well. Well, thank you so much for watching. What do you love about this week? I don't think I said what I love about this week for us. I think that's the first time I haven't said it in so many years, and I'm sorry about that. What I love about this week for us, I'm going to say the full moon. I've spoken about the full moon in this horoscope so far, which is pretty powerful. But what do you love about this week for us? Let me know in the comments below. I love reading you guys. And to prove it to you, here are some of my most recent favorite comments. Thank you to everybody who likes, who comments, who subscribes, who shares, who thumbs up, who hits the notification bell, all of it. It means so much. Thank you. Thank you for your love and your trust. It means so much to me. And if you would like to know how all of this very powerful energy this week, this Quincunx energy, plays out for you in your sign, log on to NadiyaShahSuperstars.com, where now with Choose Your Membership Rate, as low as just $3 a month, you get expanded exclusive video scopes for each and every sign, each and every week, for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership Rate. Higher tiers get you access to classes, get you consultations with me, and so much more. Live events with me every month, and so much more. All of this in the Superstar space. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity University, all new classes announced, with a September speaker series and the autumn session right around the corner as well. So big announcements here. Let me start with the September speaker series. I am so excited to present to you a brand new crop of astrologers, absolutely brilliant, that I absolutely love, that I get to celebrate with you. And for a limited time, of course, choose your tuition rate as low as just $5 a class at synchronicityuniversity.com. So here are some of the amazing astrologers we're going to have. Mark Lawrenson runs the Sydney School of Astrology, and he is going to be looking at sacred hurdles. So helping us to understand these powerful moments in the astrological chart that can strengthen us in meaningful ways. We are also going to have Cassia Christoph talking about the 6 axis of astrology, of the signs. So this is looking at the 12 signs and understanding them on a polarity, and how it is that we can raise the vibration of these polarities within our own chart and bring them forward from an evolutionary perspective. My beautiful friend Priya, brilliant astrologer Priya, is going to be talking about Chiron in astrology. Philip Miles, that you have seen on my channel before, is going to be talking about progress charts. And Bear River, that you've also seen on my channel before as well, he's going to be talking about practical magic using planetary days. So there's a lot to look forward to here. This September speaker series at synchronicityuniversity.com. Remember, Choose Your Tuition Rate is on now, as low as just $5 a class. And I look forward to meeting you in class. The autumn session at synchronicityuniversity.com. Classes with me this autumn are right around the corner. Can you believe it? I know it feels like summer days are here, and they are, and yet autumn is right around the corner. Choose Your Tuition Rate is on right now. I am going to have a whole bunch of very exciting classes taking place. We're going to continue our exploration of different houses. We're going to be looking more at the 9th house in astrology, Hello World, I'm calling it. We'll be looking more at the 5th house in astrology as well, which has to do with love and windfalls and so much more, plus other classes like power couples that we're going to look at. I think that's going to be a whole lot of fun. That is a class that students wanted and asked for. Another class was how to write horoscopes. So that is something I'll be teaching as well this autumn at synchronicityuniversity.com. Choose your tuition rate is on right now, as low as just $5 a class, if you can believe it. All these classes as low as just $5 a class would choose your tuition rate at synchronicityuniversity.com. Yes, I have classes going on right now, but I'm also going to see you this autumn as well. Thank you for your love and your trust in my interpretation of the sky and the enthusiasm and love that all students bring to the autumn session, upcoming autumn session at synchronicityuniversity.com. I look forward to meeting you there. Synchronicity Publications, Mayan Astrology is the next book that is going to be coming out. And the English version of this book is co-written by me and my friend Ursula that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Brilliant astrologer, one of the most renowned Mayan astrologers in the world. And this book is your Mayan sun sign, and it is also looking at compatibility. So you get to see how the different Mayan sun signs interact. So you can very quickly look up your own Mayan sign, but then you can also look up, your different connections with different people and how it is that you get along. So right now you can read an excerpt at synchronicitypublications.com, and you can order the advanced copy now. And so your advanced copy is going to be shipped at the end of September. And with your advanced copy, you get about $250 worth of free gifts, which is a huge deal, a very big deal. The advanced copy is going to be signed by me as well. Now, the Spanish version of this book, written by Nadiya, is going to be coming out when the English version is given to the world, and that is going to be November 11th. So November 11th is when these books, the English and Spanish versions, are going to go out into the world and belong to the world. But if you can't wait that long and you want the advanced copy, the English language advanced copy, co-written by me and Ursula, well, you can log on to synchronicitypublications.com and get your advanced copy now. And thank you. Thank you again for your love and your trust, the support of all my books. I've got a bunch of my books back there as well. Your support of Synchronicity Publications as well. I'm truly so grateful for it. And I hope and I believe that you will absolutely love this incredible new book on Mayan astrology at synchronicitypublications.com. Astrologyconference.ca is where the party is going to be this September. And so astrologyconference.ca is the Canadian Astrology Conference. I will be presenting here. Keynote speaker is Demetra George, and we've got incredible speakers that are going to be part of this event. Now, I am a participant and I am one of the presenters. It will be the very first time that I'm presenting on Alan Leo and his esoteric astrology and the role that he played in helping astrology come back into the West through the New Age movement. I think it's going to be lively and fun, and you will really get to see my nerd hat on. Now, the very exciting news is that this is a conference that is going to be online in Canadian dollars, which means if you're American, you get a huge deal. It runs about $90, $95 for the entire conference, for those of you who are paying in US dollars. So if you check out astrologyconference.ca, you'll see many world-renowned speakers there, including myself, and I'm really so grateful for that. And I look forward to meeting you there at astrologyconference.ca at the Canadian Astrology Conference. And finally, you can get my take on your unique birth chart by checking out my partnership with Cosmogram. At Cosmogram, you go onto their website using the link in the description below. You enter in your birth data, and within hours, you are going to get a PDF of my interpretation of your birth chart. And so I hope you absolutely love it. Thank you so much to everybody out there who's gotten one of these reports. I appreciate each and every one of you for your love and your trust. If you go to the Cosmogram website, you will be able to get a sample report that is posted there, so you know exactly what it is that you are going to get for you for your own sign. And again, I hope you absolutely love it. Check out the link in the description below. And thank you. I am really hoping that the sound quality was okay, because next to my condo, the condo next to me is an Airbnb. There's always new people in there. And sometimes people come in there who really like to party, as is the case right now. A party is going on. It's none of my business. I'm not somebody who gets in the way of people having a good time. But it does mean that sometimes you might hear a party going on, which might be the case now. I don't know. But I hope that you enjoy it, whatever party you did hear or not. But this is a party of its own, isn't it? You and I getting to hang out here on YouTube. It is a party in and of itself and in and of its own. And I appreciate you being here to celebrate astrology, to celebrate the new age, and so much more with me. And I do want to take a moment as well to say thank you. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your trust. This past week, started the Kepler college class called YouTube for Astrologers. Of course, it's for anybody who's spiritually oriented and wants to have a business that includes YouTube. But this group is incredible, let me tell you. It is an incredible group of people who are deeply committed to tapping into their spiritual purpose and aligning it with their prosperity, and willing to face their own fears and discover themselves and shine brighter. And each and every one of them, just with the first class, has inspired me so much. And so it has just reminded me what a privilege it is to have had this connection with you as my friends and my fans and my superstars and my students, to have had this connection with you for as long as I've had. Just thank you. Thank you for all the ways in which you have blessed my life. And my hope is that as you see me a part of your spiritual journey, which has brought you here to this moment, my hope, of course, is that you feel that energy of blessing that I feel return to you 100 times over, because truly it is a privilege and a blessing to have your trust and to have your love. So thank you. And thank you again for watching. It'll be a great week. Enjoy.